The U.S. Navy said one of its aircraft was intercepted by a Russian jet while flying in international airspace over the Mediterranean Sea. According to U.S. Naval Forces Europe-Africa, the U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon, an anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare aircraft, was flying over the Mediterranean Sea when it was approached by a Russian SU-35 fighter jet. The U.S. Navy said in a statement, "The interaction was determined to be unsafe due to the SU-35 conducting a high-speed inverted maneuver 25 feet directly in front of the mission aircraft, which put our pilots and crew at risk." The crew of the P-8A Poseidon was said to have experienced wake turbulence during the 42-minute encounter. Viewers may note that wake turbulence from the generating aircraft can impose rolling moments exceeding the roll control authority of encountering aircraft, causing possible injury to occupants and damage to the aircraft. The U.S. Navy added, "While the Russian aircraft was operating in international airspace, this interaction was irresponsible. We expect them to behave within international standards set to ensure safety and to prevent incidents." U.S. Sixth Fleet statement stated, "In response, the P-8A, which was operating at a constant altitude and airspeed, descended to create separation and ensure safety of both aircraft. The unnecessary actions of the Russian SU-35 pilot were inconsistent with good airmanship and international flight rules, seriously jeopardizing the safety of flight of both aircraft." In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon had no chance against Russian Sukhoi Su-35. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. If you are, like us, fascinated by military vehicles and technology, I recommend you give War Thunder a try. It's a military vehicle combat game which you can download and play for free on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. It has a huge variety of more than 1,200 playable aircraft, tanks, helicopters, and ships from the 1930s to the 1990s, which you can take to battle on land, in the air, and at sea on more than 80 theaters of war. War Thunder's been kind enough to offer all Defense Updates viewers a special bonus, which will grant you a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship, and 3 days of premium account time for registering using our link in the description below. So take the plunge and join more than 20 million players from around the world. The P-8 Poseidon is developed by Boeing and is modified from the 737-800 ERX. It's capable of anti-submarine warfare (ASW), anti-surface warfare (ASUW), and shipping interdiction. It also has early warning self-protection (EWSP) ability. Powered by two CFM56 7B27A turbofans that are capable of generating 121 kilonewtons of thrust, it's able to reach a maximum speed of 490 knots or 907 kilometers per hour. It has a combat radius of 1,200 nautical miles or 2,222 kilometers that enables it to cover large swaths of ocean. It has a top speed of Mach 0.73. The P-8 is equipped with radar, optical and sonar sensors to detect submarines and surface ships. P-8A is the American variant, and the U.S. has received delivery of more than 90 of these, with approximately an additional 30 on order. P-8 has 5 internal and 6 external stations for weapons, and currently deploy AGM-84 H&K SLAM-ER, AGM-84 Harpoon, Mark 54 torpedo, unguided missiles, mines, and SMART as well as freefall bombs. The Sukhoi Su-35 is a single-seat, twin-engine, super-maneuverable aircraft designed by the Sukhoi Design Bureau and built by the Komsomolsk-on-Amur aircraft plant. The type was originally developed by the Soviet Union from the Su-27 and was known as the Su-27M. It incorporated canards and a multi-function radar, giving it multi-role capabilities. The first prototype made its maiden flight in June 1988. Following the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Sukhoi redesigned it as the SU-35 to attract export orders. In 2003, Sukhoi embarked on a second modernization of the Su-27 to serve as an interim aircraft awaiting the development of the Sukhoi Pak-FA Su-57 program. Also known as the Su-35, this version has a redesigned cockpit and weapons control system and features thrust vectoring engines in place of the canards. The type made its first flight in February 2008. Although it was designed for export, the Russian Air Force became the launch customer in 2009 with the production version designated Su-35S. The aircraft has a top speed of Mach 2.25. In January 2006, Russia made the first combat deployment of the Su-35S when it sent a deployment of 4 aircraft to Syria. This occurred following the increased tensions between Russia and Turkey as a result of reported incursions by Russian aircraft into the Turkish airspace and the shoot-down of a Russian Su-24 bomber by a Turkish F-16 fighter in November 2015. P-8 Poseidon is not designed for air-to-air combat. On the other hand, Sukhoi Su-35 is designed primarily for this role. The Sukhoi Su-35 has many options to take out the P-8 Poseidon, which includes R-27, R-73, and R-77-1 missiles. The R-27 missile is a medium to long-range air-to-air missile developed by the Soviet Union. It remains in service with the Russian Air Force and Air Forces of the Commonwealth of Independent States. The R-27 is manufactured in infrared homing R-27T, having a range of 40 kilometers or 25 miles, semi-active radar homing R-27R, having a range of 80 kilometers or 50 miles, and active radar homing R-27EA, having a range of 130 kilometers or 80 miles. The R-73 is a short-range air-to-air missile developed by Vimpel NPO that entered service in 1984. The R-73 was developed to replace the earlier R-60 weapon for short-range use by Soviet fighter aircraft. Work began in 1973, and the first missiles entered service in 1984. The R-73 is an infrared homing missile with sensitive cryogenic cooled seeker with a substantial off-boresight capability. The seeker can actually see targets up to 40 degrees off the missile's centerline. It can be targeted by a helmet-mounted sight, HMS, allowing pilots to designate targets by looking at them. The minimum engagement range is about 300 meters, with a maximum aerodynamic range of 30 kilometers or 19 miles at altitude. The R-77-1 missile is the upgraded variant of the R-77 missile. It adds an active radar seeker head and newly designed fins for better navigation control. R-77-1 uses the inertial navigation system in combination with course correction updates from the aircraft sensors for initial and mid-course guidance. For terminal guidance, it uses the active radar homing. The R-77-1 has fire and forget capability with a range of 110 kilometers or 68 miles. The missile is very resistant to countermeasures, making it hard to fend off. The Su-35's maneuverability, speed, and weapons will enable it to quickly shoot down a large and slow target like the P-8. The April 19th intercept marked the second time in 4 days that a Russian aircraft got a little too close for comfort. Another similar incident happened on April 15th. The act is clearly intentional, as this points to newfound confidence in Russia, which now thinks that it can take on the U.S. military. But it's to be noted that Russia's defense budget is around 10% of the American defense budget. Russia has not yet serially produced its Su-57 fifth-generation fighter, nor does it have a stealth bomber. America has 187 F-22 Raptors, and as of now, 500 F-35s have already been built, the bulk of which is received by U.S. military. It has B-2 Spirit stealth bomber and is already working on new generation B-21 Raider. So it's pertinent Russia doesn't do something which can lead to a skirmish between two nuclear-armed nations.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.